Good morning, guys. So much like the upper body mobilization routine, today we're going to go through a very hearty full lower body mobilization routine. Again, this can be done before lower body days. It can be done on your rest days if you're just trying to improve mobilization. This is a nice little sequence that I found that really does hit a lot of the major muscle groups throughout the lower body. So we're going to start off today from the ankles and we're going to work our way up. Very simple start. Completely neutral. All we're going to do, point the toes and pull the toes back. Point the toes forward, pull the toes back. So this is dorsal and plantar flexion. Oh, heels come off there. That's fine. And we're trying to do extend tibialis anterior, and then contract and extend the gastrocnemius, the calf and the soleus. So just pulling back and forth in there, getting the ankles warmed up. And they feel sufficiently warmed up. Then we're going to go into inversion and eversion. So from there, again, trying to keep this exactly where it is. Turn the toes in and out. So I'm literally trying to get my feet to curl in, face each other, and from there push out away from each other, but the whole time keeping the shins where they are. I'm not letting the rotation come from the hip, I'm forcing the rotation to come from the ankle joint. And again, once you feel that's warmed up a little, we're then just going to combine the two motions and form big circles in one direction, and then again keeping that shin in place. I'm going to change the rotation. Again, really demand everything to come from that ankle. You're going to have to think about it, and you're going to have to work through it, because that is part of the warm-up. Okay, so from there, what I'm then going to do, keeping one leg nice and straight, I'm just going to pop the socks back on. We're then going to take the other leg, bend it, pull it into the body, keeping full contact with the foot. Then we're going to sit up nice and tall, extend that spine, reach to the spine and release. Change over. Nice and tall, make sure we get a good connection through both of the sitting bones in our backside. Use that leg for leverage. And again, just back and forth through here. All we're trying to do, open up the tissue, the glute hamstring crossover tie-in, and a little bit of the glute. Hug it in, nice and tall, feel that stretch and release. And again, you can just work back and forth in here until you feel that mobilization is taking place. You can get a little bit more range, you can get into position a bit easier, not having to fight against your body quite as much. And then from there, we're going to take it to a kneeling position. So from here, all we're going to do, stretching out the hip flexor first, squeeze that glute, push those hips through, open the chest up, sink those hips forward for that slight stretch through the hip flexor, and then from there we sit back onto the heel, extend that leg, stretch out that hamstring. Just for a second, help ourselves back up, through the hip flexor for a couple of seconds, and then back through into that hamstring. So I started off without the toe underneath, and that was hurting the knee on the floor a little bit. So I've just kept the toe up, and now I haven't got quite as much pain pushed through that knee. And again, you can chuck a pillow under here, double that up so everything feels a little bit nicer, but just be aware that obviously that's going to put a tiny bit of pressure on the knee, so we can find some adjustments for that. The next thing we're going to do, come back down to sitting. We're going to go into a hip 90-90 stretch. So you can place the hands behind you if you'd like, feet nice and far apart. Dropping both knees down. Again, coming up, dropping it down. And as you feel the hip starts to warm up a little bit more, try and sit up a little bit taller, force ourselves over the hip joint a bit more until we're pretty far over ourselves, and we can really start to feel the inside of that groin just being tested a little bit. Nothing too crazy. Again, this isn't meant to be overextending, not meant to be forcefully stretching out here, just very gently working against our body to give us an extra 5 to 10% range of motion when we get into our first movements. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the focus from the hip to the glute, and I'm simply just going to lean over that front leg, swing my torso down to the ground, and now we've almost got a half pigeon pose. It's also very nice because it combines a very gentle amount of spinal rotation. And again, just 1-2 second hold. Until you feel everything feels nice and loose. Good. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to do to complement the work that we've done on the internal hip now is a little adductor rock. So we go from an all fours position here. Okay, I'm going to take the foot out to the side. Okay, so keeping this leg nice and extended. Okay, we're going to focus on very gently, because this is going to feel quite intense to start off with. Rock back and forth. So we're just basically taking the adductor through all range of motion at the hip here, just gently working everything, so then when we come into squats, maybe our deadlifts, maybe we're pulling from sumo, we require a slightly wider stance. These adductors are not going to be tugging on that knee, forcing you to clap in quite as much. Or, quite simply, might just make it more comfortable as you descend down into your squat. So, again, give this a little try through, guys. See how you feel afterwards. Try implementing it for a couple of weeks at a time. If you notice a difference, fantastic. You're only going to get benefit from it. So try it out. Let me know how you get on, and I'll catch up with you guys on your training plan.